could do that anyway, just paint it all now with the whatever it's called. I guess that'll do for now. But yeah, because they're images, I don't know if they'll disappear if I plow them. They may just stay there as, you know, permanent placement of objects, kind of like barns and what have you. It may be possible to edit the map XML and remove them if I could figure out what they were and where they were and what I was doing, because that's not my thing. I may be a computer programmer, I am not an HTML programmer. I am a business system programmer. Oh, that's yours. Okay. We'll wave that there. As I said, just wave it close by and it'll chop things. There you go. Oh, I think one of those didn't fall. Did one of those not fall over? Okay, that's all looking good, and I think this one needs to fall over. There we go. A little bit of unrealistic lumberjacking. And so again, each of these is going to cut into 2 pieces and back of the truck. And someone else has joined the Farm Sim YouTube community. Ollie's Farm is now, or Ollie's Farm Sim is now a thing. Is that the one I just cut? I think that was the one I just cut. Let's go do this one. So he appears to be using a lot of the equipment. I found out, okay, so I found out that that Johnston trailer over there, which I'm using for carrying the trees, I can carry animals and I can carry bales on it and other things when I go shopping. Ollie from Ollie's Farm uses one of those as his to move his cattle around. There we go. Well, it turns out that the modder who made that mod was in contact with Ollie, having Ollie send him pictures of the trailer so he could accurately model it. So Ollie is actually in part involved in that, in the production of that mod. No, that's not the stick he wanted to print, cut. That's the stick I wanted to cut, and that's the short end. So we'll pick that up and take it to the trailer. I find in general most programming is easy. You just need to know the language you're using to tell the computer what you want it to do. Now I'm getting stuck. I don't know which ones I've cut and which ones I haven't. Shall we go let's go get the tractor and start picking things up and see if we pick up 14-meter lengths. I'm liking this tractor as an alternate medium tractor to the Valtra. It has a little bit more weight to it. So can be, for the most part, a little bit more stable, but some of these trees seem to be a little bit on the heavy side. Dense. But because for law folds I use the Valtra T for this work. While we have a Valtra T on the farm, I decided I would like to use something a little different. So this tractor will be used for carting and logging, probably not for any other major farm work. So we won't be fitting it with narrow tyres and heading out to the fields to fertilise or spray or anything like that. Oh, there's one we missed. Yeah, as I said, programming is generally easy, but you do need to have the aptitude for it. It's kind of like what my California flight instructor told me was, it's all to the well and good learning how to fly, but if you can't land a plane, you're wasting your time. Now, landing a plane was something I was actually fairly good at, but some people just don't have the coordination, and he said he had two other students who just struggled like anything to get the plane on the ground, and he said, I don't have the heart to tell them they're really wasting their money, because they're not very good at it, and I can't. There's some things you can't teach, and so with computer programming, you need to be able to think logically. So, with that in mind, our governor would not make a good computer programmer. That's that looks a bit long too, so I need to go cut the end off. Now conversely, I have seen some people who are absolutely brilliant and they didn't have the confidence in themselves, and that's kind of sad, because if you don't have the confidence, you probably won't be good at it. But you have the natural aptitude. When you have the natural aptitude, people who can see that, it's very sad, because you are so capable, but But if you can program it, then you can go a long way, and it really doesn't matter which programming language you learn or anything like that. It's this is awkward. I'm going to reverse back over that. I mean, I have learned half a dozen programming languages which I have never used in the wild. The programming language I have used for the last getting on for 30 years, I never learnt at school. I learnt on the job. But it's learning what you can do and then learning how to do it in the language your computer system uses. And if you can kind of divorce yourself from that, then you can program anything you want. And then, as my first project leader said, it's not your technical knowledge that gets you where you want to be, it's your business knowledge. And so, I mean, if anything, I would say to someone, if you want to be a computer programmer that works on business applications, which does pay quite well and generally doesn't have the hours that gaming programmers have to put in, especially when they put something in live or release and then they have to patch it for days afterwards. My life tends to be fairly routine and pays well. So it's not so much knowing all of the computer programming skills, it's learning what your employer does or what your client does. Because if you can understand what they're telling you, then you will be an asset to them. They don't care how you write programs, they care that you know what their business is, and when they say, we need a computer to do new concept, you might have a long discussion about how that concept actually works, but as soon as you understand it, you can convert that into code. That's second nature. So, if you want to work on ledgers, get some financial training. Learn to be an accountant, or at least do some accountancy classes at college if you want to do that. Because that'll get you understanding the accountants. And when an accountant says, I need a computer, I need my computer to do this, you understand that concept, and then you can convert it into programming. Now, I tend to be more order entry, and to a certain extent inventory. So, retail operations, like me, anybody who sells stuff, I can talk to an order entry person and say, okay, so you need to be able to do this. Do you want to draw a picture of what of what you're trying to do here? And I can convert it very simply into something that they want. Drop. Come on. Drop. It's not going to drop. Now it will. No, it won't. Get out. Okay, reverse into the arms. There we go. So it would appear there is some level of stickiness on these forks. They're not 100%, but sufficient to get by. And that's the thing. See, I was listening to a YouTuber a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, and he was saying how probably the best thing you can do, graduate high school, go to college. You can even drop out of high school. Go to college and do a couple of units, and then when you fill out a job application, you can check the some college box. And they're probably never going to ask you much of anything about it, but you are college educated, even if you've got 1 or 2 units in something. However, it does depend on what you're trying to get a job with. But I am not college educated. I have some post-school education, but it's not, strictly speaking, officially college educated. I do not have a diploma. Or do I? I can't remember. But yeah, all of my programming skills are self-taught, and yeah, obviously I started in school because while I'm fairly old, I'm young enough that they had computers at my school, which was quite a novelty back then. After I left school, everybody had computers, but my school actually had computers. And so I taught myself to program on those and went from there. But I do think, if you're going to do college, it wants to, don't do a pure computing or computing and math class. Do computing with something that would be applicable to your employer. So logistics, transport, warehouse management, that sort of thing. Yes, right. And the UK, we don't have associate's degrees. However, what we have sort of basic high school education, O levels, or at least at my time we had O levels, and then you had a 2-year supplemental course, which you took from the age of 16 through 18, which were A levels, which were generally used as an access to college. Most employers don't particularly care if you have A levels. It's not a significant thing. If a career requires college or a degree, you need a degree, so your A levels aren't going to do anything for you except get you into college so you can get the degree. Otherwise, your O levels are going to be sufficient. Now, you can do practical classes in the UK, car mechanic, HVAC, that sort of thing, electrician. Sort of thing you used to do as an apprenticeship. You can now do a sort of diploma in manual tasks. And when I was a kid, that was the alternative. If you weren't good with your brain, but you were good with your hands, then maybe a practical class at a technical college is better than a academic class at a academic college, university sort of thing. Now, I mean, that's not always the case. There are some companies, much like Ivy League universities, that are always going on about, if you want to be a lawyer, you need to go to an Ivy League university because, you can get lawyering degrees at any university. There's just some prestige involved with going to an Ivy League. And there's some employees that look at that prestige and say, oh, you don't have a commuting degree. Well, you can't be you're just a peasant. We don't employ peasants. And, okay, whatever, but you're probably not going to enjoy working there. And, that's not what I had in mind. Let's drop that. Put the weight back on the bag. There we go. So how's that looking? I think we've picked up all the wood that's on the ground now. Yeah, if someone demands college, then you don't have any, then you probably don't want to work for them anyway. But these days, most people are perfectly happy, so long as you have the aptitude. I guess. What's the time? 11:36. Okay, tell you what, I'm gonna treat that as done. Let's close that off. We will run over here. So the plan for this plot of land is, once we've cleared all the trees, as I said, there's about 10, 11 over there, half a dozen behind us. We will get a stump grinder, we'll grind all the stumps that we've made. We'll replant the trees, so that may happen sometime in spring or next summer. And then once the trees have been replanted, we will sell this plot of land and buy something else. So I don't have to own all the woodlands all the time. So if I do a clear out, then where do I want to be? I want to be in the cab. Well, I messed that bit up, didn't I? But we're getting on for 20 to midday, and kids are due to arrive soon. So we will sell this wood, come back to the this woodland area and call it for the day. It is midday on Oakfield Farm. Let's lower that a bit. There we go. Yeah, I'm also almost having a playlist like a real farm tractor driver, because I got the steering wheel in front of me and the side panel is, as I said, right at my right shoulder. So normally I prefer for it to be in front of me. So it's in a little bit of an awkward position, not something I'm used to. But it gets me by, and there's a vehicle coming. Oh, turn signals work on this. Nice. I like it when things on the dash work. Alright, let's jump out, talk to the dude, and so what do we reckon? We made 12,000. 16. Nice. More than expected. So I'm happy. Hope you're happy too. In the words of David Bowie. Because I might want to come back and chop some trees down again when they regrow. So while it wasn't, it was something I almost did on Lawfolds. I played that 6 years solid, and at the end of the 6th year, the first forest that I chopped down, about 400 trees, so 120 trees. I spent the entire first year chopping down 120 trees. And so at the end of that, I ground all the stumps in, I replanted the trees, and when we got to the end of that series, those trees were ready to be cut again. So I can't, yeah. And if you want to go role-playing, it's a conservation thing. You replace what you take down. So we will replace the trees. It doesn't, it's not that expensive to replant the trees. And we'll get far more from selling the land than it'll cost us to sell the trees. Or to buy the trees. Okay, you take care, Mars Leo. And as I said, yes, it is almost noon. Because this is quite a convenient plot of land near to the farm. So, using this, maybe rebuying it towards the end of the playthrough could be a thing. But for right now, I just want to clear it all out so we get as much money as we can out of the land, and then free up the capital that's sunk in it. Because as I said, you replant the trees, it's going to take 5 full years for those trees to regrow. So if we plant them in spring, that's going to be the beginning of year 7 that they'll be ready to harvest again. Okay. That said, I don't know how many years this is going to run for, because with Lawfolds, I played that, whenever Arthur was streaming, I was playing Lawfolds, watching Arthur stream. And I didn't get to streaming myself until, I'm beginning to not remember. This has been out for a year. So the last year of Farm Sim 17. So I put in probably 80% of the time on Lawfolds off stream. Before I got around to streaming, I streamed the last 20% of it the last 2 years. And with this one, I'm only playing this on a Saturday morning on stream. So you get to see, wow. Is it windy or are those trees dancing? Weird. So we'll shut the gate. But yeah, we'll play this on stream until next generation Farm Sim comes out. Maybe longer. Remember with Lawfolds we went 6 months into Farm Sim 19 before we switched. Or did we? I don't know, Farm Sim 19 came out. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm confused. No, we ran Lawfolds for a full year before we cut that off. So we might run into next generation Farm Sim, still playing this one on Saturday mornings. Eventually we'll switch. But now as we get in the office a little bit more settled, I hope to be doing a little bit more streaming at other times. But for right now, it's midday on Oakfield, it's 1:15 midday on Hi Dog, on Oakfield Farm. No, in real life. We got 50,000 money, so we've added 30,000 to our bank balance, and I'm going to wish you all a good weekend, and I'm out of here for now. Goodbye.